Good morning. This meeting of the Louisiana Tax Commission is hereby called to order. This meeting is being held at the offices of the Louisiana Tax Commission at 1051 North 3rd Street, Suite 225, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The date is Wednesday, June 28th, 2023, and the time is 10:01 a.m. Please call the roll.
Chairman Shahardi,
Here.
Commissioner Potier,
Here.
Commissioner Jeffers.
Here.
Commissioner Vercher,
Here.
Commissioner Wood. 4 present and a quorum.
Thank you. There being no old business to take up at this time, I will accept a motion for the approval of the minutes of the June 14th, 2023 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the minutes of the June 14th, 2023 minutes.
We have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. We'll now consider change orders.
Chandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, we have a total of 637 change orders. Staff has reviewed those change orders and requests to approve 576. Will place 60 in pending status and deny 1 in Orleans, the 2nd District, for applying a homestead exemption on an LLC. Staff requests approval of these change orders.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the staff recommendations to approve 576 of the change orders. We keep 60 in pending status and deny 1 for the reasons given for a total of 637 change orders.
We have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. We'll now consider prior pending change orders.
Chandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, we have a total of 42 prior pending change orders. Staff has reviewed those change orders and requests to approve 42. Staff requests approval of the prior pending change orders.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we accept staff recommendation, approve 42 change orders as presented.
We have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. We'll now consider tax sale cancellations.
Chandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, we have a total of 2 tax sale cancellations in Cattle Parish due to being sold in error. Staffers request approval of 2 tax sale cancellations.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I move approval of 2 tax sale cancellations in Cattle Parish based on staff's recommendation.
We have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. We'll now consider the 2023 Orleans 2-lane allocation report. I'll go ahead and make a motion. I move, and we have an agreement on the allocation report from both the taxpayer, Tulane University and the Orleans Parish Assessor. So they're both in agreement on the submission. So I move that we accept the Tulane allocation report for 2023. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. All right, we'll now move on to the appeal portion of our docket. I'll ask anyone who is planning on testifying at the microphone to please stand up at your chair to be sworn in as a witness. All right, we'll now take up the appeal of Star Hospitality Group LLC versus Assessor Errol Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review. Docket number 22-22171-014. So I'll ask the parties to please come on up and sit at the microphone. All right, I'll ask you to please adjust your microphone to speak into it as best you can, as close as you can to it, so we can hear you.
Okay,
All right, please introduce yourself, with your name and then proceed to tell us about the property.
sorry, could you say one more time?
Yeah, if you can tell us your name, tell us your name,
Okay, my name is Jin Li.
okay? And then go ahead and tell us about the property. You're appealing the value, by the Board of Review, so tell us about the property.
Okay, it's a Wyndham Garden Hotel. It's on the downtown. I come here today. I don't hire any lawyer. I just want to tell it's COVID-19 is very, very difficult for us to run the business, okay? So they give me assessment, the value is $15 million. There's no way we can operate the business. He said we have to charge 15% on the building. So we come out, we have to pay $362,000 every year, the property tax. And our income just only about 2.5 million compared with before COVID-19, 2018, 19, 17. We pay about $400,000, but we have the income is about $6 million. Right now, only 2.2. So I'm asking you, can you drop down the value and also the percentage? Can you drop down? It's really very difficult for us to run a business right now.
Okay, but we need evidence to show that. And, we have a staff appraisal, for the property of a little over $18 million, which I believe may have been the value last year. Am I correct at that, Mr.?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
It was roughly 18 million last year.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So it's, and our staff appraisal takes into the question of occupancy and that sort of thing. So that's, we need evidence to support an argument for a lower value, when the only evidence that we have in front of us is our staff appraisal, which actually shows a value higher than what the Board of Review determined. The Board of Review lowered your value from 21.6 million to 15 million. But the staff appraisal that we have by our independent appraiser is a value of $18,104,000. So it's actually more than what the Board of Review has.
Yeah, but the right now New Orleans have a lot of the crime there. Nobody want to come to New Orleans. All right. And how can you come out a value for the $18 million for right now? With the same like the 2017, 18, 19, it's no way. So the value is not right. So I just want to ask you, can you, a little adjust for this few years, then after, I hope everything will over a few years, That's why I come in, the reason, if you can. All right?
Well, I mean, let me hear from the assessor's office and see what they have to say. Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Russell Ambrose for the Orleans Parish Assessor's Office. So the initial valuation that we performed for the 21 million was based on a pro forma income approach as a regional average based from CoStar and host reporting systems. It doesn't take in the actual information provided by the taxpayer. I believe Mr. Gillespie's appraisal of the 18 million takes actual information provided by the taxpayer We initially, I believe, offered 15 million during the board reviews value. I'm sorry, during the board review appeal process. And I think that's it was rejected by the taxpayer, but then affirmed by the board review. And I believe in our prayer to the tax commission, we're asking them to uphold the board review's value of 15 million, which is, as I explained to the taxpayer outside, even though it is a $330,000 tax bill, it's a reduction from the $400,000 tax bill of last year. And we think that's more than fair.
So, the assessor's office is requesting the $15 million value
Yes,
by
sir.
the board of review.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And Russell, did you ask for any updated financial information from the taxpayer? Was that ever involved in any of your conversations?
Yes, sir. So I called the taxpayer. I was able to speak to the taxpayer's assistant, explain the situation, ask for any information that would substantiate a lower value than the 15 million. And I got nowhere with the taxpayer's assistant. They said the taxpayer would call me back. I called at least 12 times, no answer. So we asked for income to support a lower value than 15, but we received nothing from the taxpayer.
And ma'am, do you understand what he's saying there?
Yes, he said, I don't have any support, but yeah, I have all the income information.
And did you supply that to the assessor's office?
No, I did not, because I don't know how to do that. Yeah, but I have everything right now here.
There are time limitations on when you have to present your argument to the assessor to get the reduced value or to actually give him information to support the value. There's still a lot of things that go into it, after you submit the information. But, timely giving him the information is very important. Very important.
I understand right now, but I don't know before, the first time I come here.
All right. I believe Mr. Gillespie did the appraisal on the property. Mr. Gillespie, if you can come forward and tell us about your appraisal.
Mark Gillespie with the Tax Commission. I did appraise the property, a Wyndham Garden Limited Service Hotel, utilizing a blend of the host report and the taxpayer's actual income and expense data, and determined the value to be $18,104,000.
Would you mind walking us through the appraisal just to
Yes, sir.
tell us what you did?
I did two actually, but the one that was in the report, it utilized, I utilized a blend of the actual daily rate from host provided and also $115 per actual from the taxpayer, which brought the average daily rate to $125. It's a 170 room hotel. I used the taxpayer's actual occupancy rate. Other income was provided by host at 1.6%. I used a higher operating expense ratio than host to give the taxpayer benefit of the doubt, because the actual operating expense ratio that they provided was extremely low, and that would bring their value so almost 30 million if we use theirs. So, and then I used the going concern provided by the actual taxpayer, and that brought us to 18,104,000. Then I did another one utilizing everything that the taxpayer provided except for the operating expense ratio. I utilized the host ratio, and it ended up at 18,180,000, roughly 80,000 more than I'm at now. So it's kind of a wash there. Essentially the operating expense ratio that they provided is so low, that's why it brought their value up.
So the second appraisal look at it actually was a few dollars more but certainly in line with
Slightly, yes, sir.
the initial appraisal.
Yes, sir. That's right.
All right, are there any questions for Mr. Gillespie?
Can I say something?
Yes, you can.
Oh,
Please do.
I don't know what's the number he come from, but I know the number. I give it to you right now. After COVID-19 of 2020, the hotel closed out 10 months. We only 18%. Okay, that's 20, 21, 25%, 22, 35%. This year, so far right now, only most of 6 months, we only have about 20%. So we figure it'll be 28%. That's it. I don't know how you come out 70%. So COVID-19 to right now, only 18 to 35%. That's it. And the ADR is from the $126 to $160. ADR have little higher, but occupancy very, very low.
Yes, and the information provided by the taxpayer prior to the appraisal, they provided an income and expense statement from 2018 and also an independently appraisal by an independent appraiser that utilized several factors in the operating expenses like amortization and depreciation, which are not allowed in the appraisal process. And that's essentially why the operating expense ratio was so low that they provided. But the other numbers were provided, like the average daily rate and the occupancy rate and other income were from a 2018 statement that they provided.
Yeah, 2017, 18, 19 is higher. I understand it, but COVID-19, we just need help with the hotel owner. Give me a few years, the business to pick up. So don't bill too much property tax. Yeah.
Okay, but we're past COVID. Conventions and tourism appear to be doing well in New Orleans. The hotels in New Orleans, the other hotels seem to have decent occupancy, good occupancy. My problem here is we don't have any evidence about occupancy. We don't have any evidence about income. We don't have any evidence about expenses. All of which is what we need in order for this commission to determine a fair market value of the property. Now, the assessor has proposed reducing the value this year from the $18 million. I'm sorry, it's 18 million last year. 18 million last year. It was not 21 million last year.
It was 21 million, but it was reduced to 18 million last year by the commission.
Okay, yeah, all right, okay. So 18 million and the assessor's office is willing to go down to 15 million, which is a $3 million reduction in value. And we're dealing with, the most recent year. We're not dealing with per se with COVID. And I think occupancy, the assessor's office may be able to answer this better, but I do think the occupancy is back up in New Orleans.
Yes, sir.
For the hotels.
We're not seeing any substantial reductions in hotel occupancy due to COVID. We actually did not make any adjustments at all for COVID for any hotels or any commercial property as we did in 2020 and 21.
All right. Do the commissioners have anything they'd like to ask or any questions for anybody?
Only thing I would like to add is, Russell, will you make yourself available to the taxpayer to get the most current information for next year's assessment?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we will. Our open roll period will start July 15th, and the taxpayer will have a month to provide us any documentation necessary to substantiate a reduction for the following tax year.
So that's coming up rather quick. That's why I bring it up. So you have to get your information timely to the assessor's office. And you may want to get an independent third-party appraiser if you feel like there's, evidence that you would want to put on, at a later date. You need some information to substantiate your claim.
Can you come to the microphone, please? Come up to the microphone.
So you means you need to hire independent appraisal to the appraise?
Well, I'm not making that recommendation. I'm suggesting that if you're gonna, argue about the value,
Yeah.
that you furnish all the information you possibly can to the assessor's office, to our office, and to back it up, you may want to get a third-party appraiser on your behalf
Mm-hmm,
as additional support.
okay.
I'm not making that recommendation. I'm just suggesting that, other taxpayers do that.
Okay. And also, I want point one thing, because according to the appraisal, our operational cost low because we pay off the mortgage. That's all the baggage we pay off. That's why the cost is dropped down. But also the mortgage drop off, that means that we pay more, invest more on the property. That's not the value we can sell. That's only our operation cost drop down, but actually that's a cost from us. That's one point.
Mr. Gillespie, you want to speak to that? Because, there are some,
I'm not certain, I understood exactly what.
I think what he was saying was that his operational costs are low when compared to other hotels because he's paid off his mortgage. But the appraiser takes that into consideration. I'll let him explain that.
And generally, in an appraisal of this magnitude, you're gonna have, the operating expenses, which are rooms, food and beverage, and other departments. And, then you have undistributed operating expenses, general and administrative information, telecommunications, sales and marketing, franchise fees, et cetera. It goes on. And then fixed expenses such as insurance reserves and other. In the statement they provided, they had 4, 5 line items: amortization, depreciation, which are not actually allowable; legal and accounting only of $3,720; supplies of $585; and property taxes of $1,500, which we are reflected in the loaded capitalization rate. So I couldn't use those either. And then they have a travel expense of $1,500. So generally, which only brought it to 35%. And of course, in the industry, host average is 56%. So you can see the discrepancy there, and that's why. So if they could provide general administrative fees, sales and marketing, franchise, utility costs, property operations, et cetera, that would certainly change the complexion of the appraisal.
So you're saying that their actual figures might be a little bit more than what the host study?
Actually, yes, sir.
I mean, a little bit
Either-
more than what you
Either
did.
more or a lot more than what they provided. I think they didn't, I think there was quite a bit of, expenses that were, I don't want to say overlooked, just not provided, to me. So,
Do you have a CPA or someone that does your accounting?
Yes, So how you want me to do? You want me to apply more information to who?
I didn't understand.
So right now you want me to apply more information to who is it?
The first step would be to provide that information to the assessor's office. And I think you should do that, within the next 30 days.
Okay, can you give me information where I can send?
Russell,
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I gave you my card earlier. You can email me that information or you can drop it
Okay.
off to my attention. I'll receive it any way it's convenient for you.
Okay, I understand that. Okay. That's
And,
it.
and this would be for the 2024 tax year, next year,
Not 23?
not 23, no. I mean, the only thing you could do for 20, if you wanted to do something for 23, I mean, you'd have to ask Mr. Alvarez if they'd be willing to entertain that, and, which they're not obligated to do. So we just don't have enough information right now to support a lower value than what the assessor's office is asking us to do, which is the $15 million, which is a $3.1 million reduction, I believe, if my math is correct, a $3.1 million reduction in the assessed value from last year. So your tax bill is going to go down for 2000, or your tax bill would be reduced in 2023 based upon that $3.1 million value if the commission were to adopt that $15 million value. So you will have a tax savings for 2023. What's coming up now is 2024. And what Mr. Versch's saying and the assessor's office is agreeing to is that if you can get your CPA, whoever prepares your books and your financial statements, to get that information to Mr. Alvarez, he can look at it in order to make a determination of value for 2024 that possibly, I don't mean that we don't know for sure, but possibly could be to your benefit from where you are now. So that would be the way to go. If you have you can get an appraisal, independent appraisal done of the property, that might help. But you've got to give that information to the assessor in order for the assessor to be able to make a determination.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
Does the
thank you.
commission have any more questions? Any questions? All right. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move on docket 22-22171-014 that we uphold the parish border review value, set land at $771,100, improvement value $14,228,900, for a total fair market value of $15 million.
All right, we have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion, motion stands adopted. Thank you all for coming in, and it is a reduction over last year. All right, well, at this time, we'll go ahead and move on to our rest of our appeal docket. I think the best thing to do is just take each item individually and call them up,
Okay.
and then we'll go from there. All right, the next item on the appeal docket is the appeal of MWT New Orleans Property 2 LLC versus Assessor Errol Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review. Docket number 22-22173-041. And just give me 1 second. All right, we have a communication from the taxpayer's attorney on this appeal. Let's see. stating that there was an agreement between the assessor's office and the taxpayer of a total fair market value of $2,704,000. Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, sir, that is correct. There was an agreement between the assessor's office and the taxpayer's attorney to set the fair market value of $2,704,000, land being $496 even, and the improvements being $2,208,000.
All right, do we have a motion? Yes, go ahead.
I move on docket number 22-22173-041 that the fair market value be set at the agreed upon value by the taxpayer and the assessor, setting land at $496,000, improvements $2,208,000, for a total fair market value of $2,704,000.
We have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. We'll now take up the appeal of SST Magazine LLC versus Assessor Errol Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 22-22173-044. Is that the correct docket number? Okay. This is the property at SSST Magazine. I've got the email from the taxpayer. It appears to be 17. I'm reading it off of my briefing sheet. Okay, it's incorrect on the briefing sheet then. All right, the correct docket number for this appeal is 22-22176-022. We have communication from the taxpayer's attorney that the assessor's office and the taxpayer have agreed to a fair market value of $3,166,000. Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, sir, that is correct. Land at $1,058,400, improvements $2,107,600 for a total fair market value of $3,166,000.
All right, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move on docket number 22-22176-022 that the fair market value be set at the agreed upon value between the assessor and the taxpayer, with land being set at $1,058,400, improvements being set at $2,107,600, with a total value of $3,166,000.
We have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. We now take up the appeal of Walili LLC versus the Assessor Errol Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review. Docket number, again, tell me if this is incorrect. Docket number 22-22173-039. Again, we have a communication from the taxpayer's attorney saying they are in agreement with the tax commission staff appraisal and agreement with the assessor's office.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Alvarez.
The assessor's office and the taxpayer's attorney have come to an agreement to set the fair market value at land $806,100, improvements $1,813,900 for a total fair market value of $2,620,000.
All right, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move on docket number 22-221 73-039 that the fair market value be set at the agreed upon value by between the taxpayer and the assessor, setting land at 806,100, improvement 1,813,900 for a total fair market value of 2,620,000.
All right, we have a motion. Any objection to the, any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. We'll now move on to item E on the docket. The appeal of Canal Walgreens LLC, store number 4305 versus Assessor Errol Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review. Docket number 171 dash, excuse me, docket number 22-22171-016. Again, we have communication from the taxpayer's attorney that the taxpayer and the assessor have agreed to a fair market value of $1,592,900. Mr. Alvarez?
If I may, if it pleases the commission, everything is correct, but the taxpayer transposed the numbers. It's actually 1,529,900. I'll be more than happy to take the extra 70-something thousand, but
We're not gonna let you do that.
the actual math would be 584,000 for the land, 945,900 for the improvement, for a total fair market value of 1,529,900.
I suppose if you add the numbers up, it's gonna come up to your figure.
Yes, sir.
Right, and it would not
I-
come up to the figure
No,
on
sir.
this spreadsheet that we have.
The spreadsheet from the taxpayer's attorney is, has a typo on it.
Well, and it's a lower value anyway, so
Yes, sir.
they're not gonna complain. All right, all right, we have an agreement between the assessor and the taxpayer. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move, on excuse me, on docket 22-22171-016, based on the agreement between the taxpayer and the assessor's office, that we set the improvement value at $945,900, land value at $584,000, for a total fair market value of $1,529,900.
All right, we have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. We'll now move on to item F on the docket, the appeal of Canal Walgreens LLC versus Assessor Errol Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review. Docket number 22-22171-017. Again, we have an agreement, I believe, between the taxpayer and the assessor's office for a fair market value of $689,900. Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, sir, that is correct. The same issue is, applicable to this one as the last one. There was a typo in it. We actually agreed to a slightly lower value. The building value would be 288 even. The land would be 288 even. The improvements would be 401,800 for a total fair market value of 689,800, not 689,900. It was just like I said, just a typo on it.
Okay.
And it works in the
$800, not
taxpayers.
900.
Yes, sir. And it works in the taxpayers' of favor, so they're
Yeah.
not going to have an issue with it.
Okay, all right. All right, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move on docket number 22-22171-017 that the fair market value be set at the agreed upon value between the assessor and the taxpayer, setting land at 288,000 with improvements at 401,800 and with a total fair market value of 689,800.
We have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. We'll now move on to item G on the docket. the appeal of Canal Walgreens LLC versus Assessor Errol Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review. Docket number 22-22171-018. Again, there's an agreement between the assessor's office and the taxpayer. I'm afraid to say the value because it may be bad arithmetic. But,
This one is correct, sir.
What's that?
This one is correct.
Oh,
sir.
okay. Therefore, for a total value of $687,300. Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, sir, that is correct. The land being 288 even, the building being 399,300 for a total fair market value of 687,300.
All right, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move on docket number 22-22171-018 that the fair market value be set at the agreed upon value between the taxpayer and the assessor, setting land at 288,000, improvements 399,300, for a total fair market value of 687,300.
All right, we have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. All right, I believe that clears the docket. What's that?
It clears the topic. We need to go back to change orders.
Okay,
I'm going to request that you make a modification.
okay, go ahead.
There's a change order that we received from Bossier Parish that was placed in pending status today, but it was to memorialize a settlement agreement between the assessor and the taxpayer. And the assessor's operating under a deadline and has requested that we go ahead and approve it. It was going to be recommended for approval, but 2 weeks from now. So rather than placing it in pending status, I'm going to suggest we go ahead and approve it. And that's just going to change the numbers. So there's one change order request from Bossier Parish that was placed in pending status that's going to be approved. So it increases the number of change orders being approved by 1 and decreases the number of change orders being placed in pending status by 1.
All right, well, let's have Ms. Banks
Will you read the?
redo the numbers for us and yes, you go back on the record and give us the new numbers. And this is for change orders, is that correct? All right, go ahead.
Chandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, we have a total
Excuse me
of,
1 second. Do we need a motion? Mr. Hoffman, do we need a motion to reconsider? Who should make that? Anybody? Okay. All right, well, let's be technical about it. I make a motion that we reconsider the change orders as recommended by staff. That was approved earlier in the meeting. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. Let's go ahead and have the presentation of the new numbers for the change orders.
Chandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, we have a total of 637 change orders. Staff has reviewed those change orders and requests to approve 577, place 59 in pending status, and deny 1 in Orleans Second District for applying a homestead exemption on an LLC. Staff requests approval of these change orders.
So it's 577 approvals, 59 pending status, and 1 denied. Okay. All right. Is there a motion? All right, we have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted. Does this conclude our docket? I believe it does. It does. Okay. All right, based on the conclusion of our docket, I will accept a motion for us to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I move adjournment.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection to the motion stands adopted and the Tax Commission stands adjourned at 10:46 a.m.